So we'll be so before we start, before we start Dynatrace, so we'll go through that PPT once and see any leftover concepts. Okay, we'll briefly go through those leftover concepts in ViewGen and controller and analysis part. By the way, I need to also cover goal-oriented testing. Okay, so till now we had discussed only like in LoadRunner we have two things. In controller part we have two things: manual scenario and goal-oriented scenario. I think we did not discuss that goal-oriented scenario also, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Goal-oriented scenario need to be discussed. All right. So we'll do one thing. So this entire week we will be spending on the leftover concepts, remaining concepts. Okay, this entire week, and I'll be starting Dynatrace only next week then. Okay, because goal-oriented scenario will take one session. For this, it will take two sessions. Web services and API testing, it will take 1 to 2 sessions. And easily there will be some more concepts which we left. We missed. I had missed to cover. All right. So we'll do that. We'll do that exercise this week. And what else do we need to discuss? Manual done. Goal-oriented scenario we need to discuss. Noise generator we need to discuss. This is something important. And rest all I think completed. These are all covered, right? Pass scheduler, stop test. Now these are all covered. Analysis component covered. So I need to cover noise generator. Okay. And in VUGen also there are some scripting concept also. There are some concepts which we need to discuss. C language functions and file writing functions. I need to cover one script for test data validation and file writing into some file. There are some C language functions that we need to discuss. Okay. So we'll dedicate this 1 week for those leftover concepts, guys. Okay. And then we'll start Dynatrace from next Monday onwards. Next Monday, which is 31st or 1st December. 1st December, we will start Dynatrace. Okay. All right. So let us get started with web services then. What is a web service? So web service is a software. Web service is nothing but another software application, and it acts as a intermediary between two applications. Okay. It is a intermediary application between two applications. Our web service is also a software application which acts as an intermediary between two applications. Okay. So now let me give some example. Let me give some example where this web services comes into picture. Suppose you are doing, you are using IRCTC application, and you had selected a train, and you selected tickets, seats. You picked up seats, and you entered the passenger details. And next step is to make the payment, isn't it? You'll add to cart and you need to make the payment, isn't it? Now, when you are doing payment on IRCTC or any other application, that payment part may be handled by some third party service provider. Agree? A game payment gateway, we call them as payment gateways, right? So suppose IRCTC is a Java application. I'm sure that IRCTC is a Java application. Okay. So because it is hosted on Nginx, and IRCTC application is hosted on Nginx server. What is Nginx?
It's a web server.
What is this?
Application.
That is a web server, not application server. Okay. Did we discuss this or no? Did you see this slide or no? In server side monitoring, when we discuss server side monitoring, did we discuss this slide or no?
Yes.
Different types of servers. Nginx is a web server. Okay. So IRCTC application is running on Nginx server. You may ask me, how do I know that? Right? Is there a way to know that? What is the web server?
Developer tools. Network.
Developer tools. Yeah, there is our developer tools is the one way, but IRCTC doesn't show it. Every application doesn't show that server name in the developer tools. Okay, or every server doesn't display it, right? But once I got an error message, in that error message, I captured a screenshot. I should be having that screenshot also. So there I saw that, IRC, that the server is Nginx server. Okay, that is a different story. But, there is no rule that, every application will display the server name, transparently, web server name. Clear, guys? But yes, you are correct. Where do you see that in the developer tools?
ఒక రిక్వెస్ట్ సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకుని దాని యొక్క
Right.
రిక్వెస్ట్ హెడర్ లో కానీ చూడాలి సార్.
Which headers?
రిక్వెస్ట్ హెడర్ రెస్పాన్స్ హెడర్ ఈ రెండిట్లో ఏదో ఒక హెడర్ లో ఉంటుంది సార్ అది సర్వర్ నేమ్
Do
అనేది.
you see that in request headers? When you are sending a request, does browser know what server the
Response
application
header.
is running?
రెస్పాన్స్ హెడర్ సార్.
Right. We can check that in the response headers. Okay. We can check that in the response headers, not in the request headers. Right. So, but of course, all applications doesn't display it. Okay. See, let me clear all this, and I'll do a control refresh. And we want the main request that IRCD train such. Yeah, this is the main request. So if you see that, in the response headers, you'll see it, right? In the response headers, there is something called server. There should be something called server in the response headers. There you should see it. If the application displays, if the application display that information, if the application doesn't display, we want to see that. We can't see that, right? Yes or no? It is not displaying. Basically, this application is not displaying. But if you see APS RTC application, that will display. I remember that will display that information, server information. So here you can see that somewhere, yeah, here you can see that as the web server is Apache server, Apache HTTP, right? APS RTC is displaying, but IRCTC is not displaying the server name, right? Now,
webminar.org Nginx వెబ్ సర్వర్ చూపిస్తుంది సార్.
okay, right. So Nginx is a web server, but IRCTC is Java application, by the way. I am sure about that. IRCTC is a Java application, and now suppose like you using that Java application, web application, you selected tickets, you selected your train, you selected book tickets, and you are trying to make a payment, and you select some payment gateway, right? Payment processing is not done by IRCTC application itself, right? They have multiple gateways, and now that payment gateway application may be can it be it can be a .NET application, or it can be a Java application, or it can be a developed in any other technology. There is no rule that it should also be developed in same Java by using same Java, isn't it? So that payment gateway may be another Java application. Suppose this is IRCTC application. This box, let us assume that this box is IRCTC application. Okay, let us assume that this box is IRCTC application. And now that payment gateway may be a .NET application, or it can be another Java application, or it can be another PHP application, or it can be developed using PHP, another programming language, or Go language, right? It need not be there is no rule that every application should be developed using Java or .NET or Python. Agree? Yes or no?
Yes sir.
So now when you want to try to make a payment, right, the ticket amount should be sent to that payment gateway, right? Suppose your ticket amount that you have to pay is some 1500 rupees. That details should be transferred to the payment gateway. Agree? Otherwise, how will it process? It can't process without knowing the payment amount, isn't it?
Yes sir.
It should add that charges, any charges, etc. Because every payment gateway will have different charges, isn't it? So that data transfer, that amount of data, the ticket amount, and other details should be sent to that .NET application. If it is a .NET application, it should be sent to that .NET application. Or if it is a Java application, it should be that payment amount details should be sent to the another Java application. And now that is where your web services comes into picture. That is where, so basically a Java application, if a Java application has to communicate with another Java application, or if a Java application, if a Java application has to communicate with another Java application, or if a Java application has to communicate with another .NET application or a PHP application, it can't communicate directly. Okay, it can't communicate directly because those are different applications. So in between lies a web service. So a web service is a language independent way of communication. This is nothing but another software, another application. Web service is nothing but another application, another software application. But what does it do? It facilitates the interaction between different applications. It facilitates the interaction between two different applications. Clear, everyone? And now that software, that such kind of software application is called as a web service.
Sir, what
I'll
are
take
the
a pause
popular
here.
ones?
Any queries?
What are the
Yes.
popular web series mostly used in India?
But there may be different web services. There are no popular web services. But and by the way, web services has become obsolete. Like web services are of two types. Sorry, first of all, web services are of two types. One is SOAP protocol, the other one is REST. There are a lot of web services. Okay, web services are majorly of two types. One is SOAP and the other one is REST. SOAP has become obsolete now. No one is using SOAP protocol now. Most of the software applications are being developed now. New applications are developed using REST APIs. Okay.
And these websites are rented the web service.
What is it?
These website, all these use web service as a rented or any?
Okay, do you mean to say are they paid or free?
Oh, yes, sir.
Some of them are open source, some are licensed ones. See, for
The difference,
example, SOAP protocol is free. Okay, but REST is not free. I think REST protocol, this is not free. One second. Let me check. Supports SOAP protocol web services. One of them is free, guys. Good question. One second, just give me a moment. One of them is free. Yeah, web services are not open source, but this is open source. APIs are open source. Our REST APIs are open source. Okay, but web services are not. Some of them are not open source, right? But no one is using web services now. Everything is REST API now. Nowadays, everything is REST API. So it can be free or it can be like it can be licensed, etc. Okay, there are some free user web services. Okay, so it is a mix and match, or it is a mix combination of both, open source and licensed ones. All right. So now understood what is a web service. A web service is a language independent way of communication. Okay, or if you want me to explain, theoretically, see, when I want to introduce web service, why not write a code that could be used by any developer coding in any language, right? Wouldn't that be awesome? And guess what? The solution is web service. So web service is a software system designed to support interoperable machine-to-machine interaction over a network. That means, so web services acts as an intermediary software between two different applications. And web services developed in one language can be used in any other language. Suppose web services, are developed in one language, they can be used in any other language. Our best part is that it helps to bring connectivity from one application to another. So web services, our main purpose of web services is to facilitate that interaction between two different applications. It can be same application. See, if a Java application want to communicate with another Java application also, it requires a web service mostly, right? Or if a Java application want to communicate with another .NET application, another application which is a .NET application, then it requires some other web service. So web services are language independent way of communication. Okay, and now what is WSDL? What is WSDL? So for this communication to happen between two different applications, right? There will be certain rules for communication between two different applications. All those rules are defined in a file called WSDL file, WSDL file. Okay, where WSDL stands for Web Services Definition Language or Web Services Description Language. Okay, this is pronounced as WSDL. Okay, .WSDL file is pronounced as WSDL. Right? What is a WSDL file? For this communication, if one application want to communicate with another application, there will be certain rules that you need to follow, or that all those rules are defined in a file called WSDL file. Okay, that's all you need to know. You just remember that full form and what is a WSDL file. That's it. Okay, you don't require rest of the concept. All the theory part you don't require. Whatever is important, right? I had highlighted here. All right. I'll move to the next slide. Now, web services are majorly of two types. There are two types of web services. One is SOAP, the other one is REST. Okay. SOAP was very popular like 10 years before, or 15 years, or 20 years before. SOAP was very popular. When I was learning Java, like at that time, we don't have REST, but we have only SOAP protocol. At that time, like SOAP was very popular. SOAP protocol was very popular. But right now, SOAP protocol has become obsolete. It is a old technology and has become obsolete after REST came into picture. Okay. Once REST APIs came into the market, SOAP has become outdated and it has become obsolete. Obsolete means outdated. Okay. Now, why and all we'll understand. So basically, SOAP uses XML based message exchange. Okay. SOAP uses XML based message exchange. XML stands for
Extensive markup language.
extensible markup language. Okay. So SOAP uses, SOAP protocol uses XML for message exchange. Means to message exchange and nothing but to transfer the data between one web service and another web service. Sorry, one application and another application. The data will be transferred in the form of XML messages. That is what it means here. Okay, XML based message exchange means if one application has to talk with another application, and if the protocol is SOAP protocol, the data will be transferred in the form of XML. If the application is using, if that web service is using SOAP protocol, right? And now after REST came into picture, SOAP has become outdated. Now, how come, it has become completely obsolete? No one is using SOAP protocol now. All modern applications are, no modern application is using SOAP protocol. If you have some legacy applications, very old applications, they are only using that, still using that SOAP protocol. But, all the modern applications are being developed, are using REST APIs. Once REST APIs came into the market, right? Now, what is the reason for that is, so REST is lightweight protocol. REST APIs are very lightweight. Our REST protocol is lightweight. What is the meaning of it? Our REST supports JSON, and JSON is lightweight format. Okay. REST supports XML also. It supports all formats. It supports XML, it supports JSON, text, HTML. But most REST APIs mostly use JSON as default one. Now, that is a striking feature of REST APIs. Using JSON is a striking feature of REST APIs. Now, what is the advantage with JSON is lightweight format. Now, what is the meaning of lightweight format? Let me explain you that. Very important interview concept or very important concept for performance testing. So what is the difference between, you can expect this question. What is a web service? First of all, what is a web service? What is a web service? What are the different types of web services? What are the different types of web services?
REST API. So
Right. What are the different types of web services? And SOAP and REST. Okay, SOAP and REST. Okay. Now the next follow-up question will be, what is the difference between these two? What is the difference between these two these protocols? Right. So what is the difference between SOAP protocol? SOAP protocol and web services. Sorry, and REST API. What is the difference? SOAP uses XML based message exchange. SOAP protocol uses XML based message exchange. XML based message exchange means they will use XML for storing and transporting data. If you want to store and transport data from one application to another application, they will use XML as a storage medium. Whereas REST API uses JSON by default. Okay. Now the next immediate follow-up question will be, what is the difference between XML and JSON? What is the difference between XML and JSON? right? Now let us see some examples. Okay, I'll go to performance testing fundamentals PPT. There I had covered it. If I remember that I had covered it. If not, also that is fine. We are going to discuss it again now. XML. So both XML and JSON are used to store and transport data, by the way. Okay. See, XML is also used to store and transport data. JSON is also used for storing and transporting data. But what is the difference between them is JSON is lightweight format. JSON is lightweight format. Now, what is the meaning of lightweight format? To explain that, in the next slide, I gave you some examples. If you observe here, if an application is using XML, observe here, this is the information of first and last name of 3 employees. Okay. In this XML example, you see the first name and last name details of 3 employees. Suppose, an application is sending 3 employees information to another application using XML. Now, this is how it looks like. And now if you see this data, if you see how many characters are there in this, I'll go to charactercountonline.com. And if you see how many characters are there, it is 286 characters, isn't it? It is 280. The size of this responses or the size of the content is 286 characters, isn't it? So if an application is using XML, this is how it looks like. This is starting tag and this is ending tag. This is ending tag for employees, by the way. Ending tag is the tag. These are called as XML tags. First of all, TAGs, XML tags. Okay. So for every line, you will have one starting tag or opening tag. And now if you observe here, so like if an application is using XML for storing and transporting data, this is how it looks like. But if another application is using JSON, the same data can be transferred with less number of characters. Observe here, same data. The data is same. Data is nothing but first name and last name of 3 employees. But if the application is using JSON, right? This is how these many characters will contain. It will contain. Remember this number. XML example has 286 characters. But if an application is using JSON, it contains only 146 characters, right? 50 is almost 50%. Yes, sir. That is 286 and this is 146. Almost 50%, yes or no?
Yes.
That is nothing but that is what I mean to say here, that JSON is lightweight format. It is a lightweight format, means it consumes less number of characters, it involves less number of characters. So if the amount of data transfer is low, obviously it will be faster, right? Information can be passed faster. Agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? This is nothing but lightweight format. JSON is lightweight format. That is why once JSON came into the market, XML has become obsolete or outdated. I'll take a pause here. Any queries? Okay. So if you don't have any queries, I'll move to the next slide. Now, let us understand about, this, sorry, let us understand. Let us continue to the next slide. Now, what is an API? Okay. By the way, before that, let us discuss SOAP and REST, few more details on SOAP and REST. SOAP defines a standard communication protocol for XML based message exchange. SOAP uses different transport protocols, HTTP and SMTP. Not so important. These are all not important, but SOAP is old technology and has become obsolete after REST came into picture. This is something that we need to remember. Okay. And next, REST supports all formats. It also supports XML, JSON, text, or HTML. But default one is SOAP, JSON. Default format for REST APIs is JSON. What is REST API? Okay. REST is a protocol. Now, what is an API? Now, let us understand what is an API. And then we will discuss what is REST API, what are the other types of APIs. Okay. So API stands for Application Programming Interface. It is a short form of Application Programming Interface. Now, what is this API? This is also a software intermediary that allows two applications to talk to each other, right? As we discussed, right, web services can be broadly classified into 2 types. Web services can be broadly classified into 2 types. One is SOAP, the other one is REST API, right? Now, what is the meaning of API? API stands for Application Programming Interface. This is also a software intermediary that allows two applications to talk to each other. It serves as an interface between different software programs and facilitate their interaction. Right now, what is an API? And a particular set of rules for communication that the software programs can follow to communicate with each other. This is also a one type of web service. So a web service, contains some rules for uh, data communication, data transfer, right? So this is one, this is API is one latest technology. APIs are some latest technologies, that is very prominent now. Okay, and now this slide speaks about difference between web services and web APIs. Okay, so web service is a SOAP based service and returns response as XML. Right, we already discussed that. If an application is using web service, it returns data in XML format. It is not open source. It supports only HTTP protocol. It is not open source. Whereas API is a HTTP based service and returns JSON data by default, which we already discussed, right? And this is open source and it can be used by any clients that understands JSON or XML. And it is lightweight architecture. Web APIs are lightweight architecture and best for devices which have limited bandwidth like mobile devices. So all your mobile apps works on APIs, right? So knowingly or unknowingly, we are using a lot of APIs, whether you are using Instagram app on your mobile, or whether you are using Redbus app, or you are using, Ixigo, right? IRCTC app. All these apps, mobile apps use REST APIs only. Clear everyone? Or web APIs. Okay. We are using a lot of APIs unknowingly. Clear everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? Everyone is using a lot of mobile apps from morning to night, right? You use WhatsApp or the Facebook app or Instagram app or IRCTC app or weather API, weather application on your on your mobile, whatever app you are using, that is not they are they will be internally using these APIs because REST APIs are lightweight architecture. They are the best for devices which are having limited bandwidth like mobile devices. Okay. Now, let me give some example, like of APIs. Suppose, I'll take an example here. Suppose you take a APS RTC application. Okay. APS RTC application will have their own web server, their own app server, their own DB server. Agree? Because APS RTC, they have their own buses. They have their own servers for hosting their application, right? So they have their own web server, app server, DB server. Similarly, if you take Orange Travels, or Orange Travels, okay, travels.in, or you take any other private travels, right? Orange Travels, or Case90 Travels, or any other travels, Intercity Smart Bus. They will be having their own web server, app server, DB server, right? Intercity Smart Bus. These are all private travel operators, isn't it? So they will have their own web server, app server, DB server, and this is their application, intercity.com. Right? They have their own buses. Okay. They have their own buses with this brand. Right? You know what is the specialty of this intercity smart bus? Why is it called a smart bus? So first thing is, they have OTP mechanism. Okay. So, you can board a bus only after sharing OTP number, that OTP, first thing. And then you have CC cameras inside the bus, right? If something happens inside the bus, the CC cameras will be capturing those. Okay. And you have, there are some unique features of this intercity travels. Okay. You have smart bus lounges like this. And most of their buses are having, AC lounges, boarding crew. You'll have OTP, you have to tell the OTP, then only you can take it, right? They have this, washrooms in the bus, right? Okay. So, this is some, like this was there from these travels came into the market from 3 to 4 years and they are running on only major routes, popular routes. Okay. But, but they have their own buses and they have their own web server, app server, DB server, like any web application. Okay. But, what about, Redbus? Does Redbus have their own buses? Redbus or Abibus, do they have their own buses? Are you with me, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. There is no permanent bus for them, sir.
Right. They have their own buses. They don't have their own buses. They don't have their own buses. For example, if you search for buses between Vijayawada and Hyderabad, it will, it will get the buses, with which they have tie-up with. They have tie-up with APSRTC, they have tie-up with TGSRTC, Fresh Bus, this Intercity Smart Bus, and Orange Travels, etc., etc. Right? They don't have their own buses, not even one bus. But they have tie-up with those different private travels and government travels, and like now they are able to get this data, like what is the travel time, how many seats are available, and what all seats are available and all. Does it mean that Redbus can access their database server, all the ticket details, how much is the ticket cost, and all the ticket availability will be stored in the each travels database servers, right? Now, does it mean that when you search for buses between two cities on Redbus application, it will get all the, you once you select a bus, it will get all the bus details. Does it mean that Redbus will have access to their database server?
No, sir.
It can't fetch directly. It doesn't, because any travel operator, they will not provide direct access to their database. Any other application to their direct access to their database. How does Redbus work is, how does this Redbus application works is, when you are searching for buses between two cities, once you enter your two cities and once you click on search, this Redbus application will send a request to the APIs, public APIs of all the private travel operators they have tie-ups with. Okay. It won't send a request to database directly, but Redbus application will send a request to the public APIs of all those travel operators and get the response from those public APIs, and then that information will be displayed here, right? Whether you take Redbus or Abibus or Ixigo, right? All these, are not having their own database servers, or they will not have their own buses, or these are called as travel aggregators. Okay, right? These are called as travel aggregators. What are those? This Redbus, Abibus. Anything else that you use? Abibus, Make My Trip, right? Clear Trip. There is one more thing called Ixigo, right? They don't have their own buses, but those are travel aggregators. They have tie-ups with different travel operators. And they will send a request when you search for buses between two cities, they will send a request to the APIs. Okay. And those APIs fetch the response. Those APIs get this response, or on the on the seat availability, what is the ticket cost, what all tickets are available, ratings and all this. Clear, guys? That is how these APIs work. So basically, here APIs are acting as an interface between your Redbus application and all the servers. Clear, everyone? So APSRTC, TGSRTC, and FreshBus and Intercity Smart Bus, they will expose their APIs for the ticket availability, and public APIs. Those are public APIs. They will expose, those applications will expose their APIs, and your Redbus, when you are searching for buses between two cities, it will send a request to all the APIs. It will send it will trigger individual request to all the APIs, and from each API you will get response from each travel operator, and that is how we are seeing this information. Clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Again, if you select a bus, again it will send a API call, and it will get the response from that for that bus, ticket availability from that bus, right? So knowingly or unknowingly, we are using a lot of APIs in our day-to-day life, right? Clear, guys, everyone? I'll stop it here for today. We'll continue tomorrow. But is it clear? What is the scope of the APIs, or how many APIs we are using without our knowledge, right? All your mobile applications also works on APIs only. You will not have a web application, right? So web application is different. Web application is for websites, And for apps, for mobile applications, you will have something called apps, or all these mobile apps works on APIs, on the basis of APIs, REST APIs. Okay, so I'll stop it here for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Okay, any queries, guys, before we close today's session? Why REST APIs are most suitable is they are lightweight. Because they are lightweight, they are suitable for devices which are having limited bandwidth, like mobile devices. Okay, see, if you are on an internet connection at home or Wi-Fi or a LAN cable, you may be having 100 Mbps or 50 Mbps like that. But on mobile devices, they will not have that much bandwidth, isn't it? So that is why these REST APIs become so popular, because those are lightweight, and more amount of data can be transferred by using less number of characters, or less number of bytes, right? So that is why once REST API, this JSON came into the market, and REST APIs, as REST APIs use JSON. Once the APIs came into the market, web services has become outdated or obsolete, and no application is developed new. No new application uses XML nowadays. Not nowadays, even from last 5-10 years. Okay, I'll stop it here for today. We'll continue, guys, tomorrow. Any queries, guys, before we close today's session?
No, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
so tomorrow we'll complete this APIs concepts. Okay, and how to do web services testing and API testing also. We'll discuss that tomorrow. Day after tomorrow, we'll discuss goal-oriented scenario, and any few leftover concepts that that test data validation. I want to cover one more script for test data validation. Test data validation. Okay, I want to explain the test data validation, and using a simple LoadRunner script. Simple LR script and C language functions. In interviews, they will ask you, did you use any C language functions in your experience? So this will be helpful for you to answer that. And not only that, this will also help you to validate your test data before running a test. What is that and all we'll discuss in that session. So tomorrow we'll complete this web services remaining concepts, and then we'll target to complete these LoadRunner concepts by this weekend. And next Monday onwards, I will be starting Dynatrace. Okay, Dynatrace training will be for 10 hours minimum. It will be minimum 10 hours. Okay, so by December, mid of December, your batch will be concluded, including Dynatrace, because we are starting 1st December. So ideally, it should be completed by mid of December. Okay, but LoadRunner will be completed by this month end. All right, I'll stop it here for today. We'll continue tomorrow. All right, guys. So till now, 80 hours of training is completed approximately, and there are 5 more hours on LoadRunner. There will be 5 more hours on LoadRunner, and Dynatrace will be minimum 10 hours. So it comes around 10 to 15 hours, and we'll close this batch by mid of December. But don't wait. By first week of December, all the important Dynatrace concepts also will be completed. You can start your trials from first week of December, because you have only limited time till December 20th. You have time only till like after 20th. Interviews won't be mostly scheduled. Okay, because we'll be into most of the managers will be in year-end vacations, right? Most of the team leads, managers, they will be any leaves, if they did not utilize any leaves, they will be expiring this year. So most of the team leads, managers are senior management people, they will be going for year-end vacation to utilize their holidays. So there won't be much recruitment from during the Christmas week. So you'll have still you will have 3 more weeks. Dynatrace, like for now, if you are getting calls, you can say that like you didn't get a chance to work on Dynatrace. That is not at all an issue, right? But by 12th December, your Dynatrace also will be completed. Okay,
In Infosys,
all the important concepts will be
vacancies are
completed
1000.
for sure. Yes,
Sir, Infosys లో 1000 vacancies చూపిస్తుంది సార్ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ టెస్టింగ్.
Infosys, there are hundreds of vacancies. That's correct. Okay.
Showing 1000, yeah.
Hmm.
Shall we apply for that, sir?
You can apply if you have, that PF history and bank statement. If you can provide bank statement and PF history, you can apply happily. Okay. BGC will be very strict for Infosys, Capgemini, TCS, and all these companies, CTS, and all this. Tech Mahindra. Okay. I'm closing it here because I am running out of time. I'm closing it here.
Yeah, okay.
Let them.